Welcome, class. How are you today? Great. Well, I'm going to start by taking a roll. Vanessa. Good. Mark. All right. Bradley. Angela. Huh? Jennifer. And Sam. Great. We are all here today. Well, welcome. If you guys could get out your health notebooks, I would really appreciate that. I'll give you guys a minute. Everybody got them out? Good. So remember, over this last week, we've been talking about injection drug use. And we've been talking about how to explain the variety of health risks associated with injection drug use, right? Right, yeah, good job. So today I'm going to start out with a class discussion and a review on what the risks are associated with using a needle. So who can remember that? What are the risks associated with using a needle? Vanessa? HIV and hepatitis B and C. Right? Good. Good. What else? Sam? Yes, getting just a simple abscess near the injection site is a risk. Right? Because it could be one that actually sends you to the hospital, right? Yeah. It depends on how big the abscess gets or how infected it might get, right? And what else? Bradley? Overdosing. That's a big one, right? Because overdose can actually also lead to fatality, right? Death. What else? Angela, do you have one? Nerve damage, where you are injecting the needle, right? Good. Jennifer? Right, you can have a cardiac arrest or an embolism. Good job. Embolism, just like a blood clot, or cardiac arrest. Right? Because any drug can actually make your heart stop. So, or go into a panic mode, right? Good. What you guys laughing at? Oh, Mark, which one did you have? Right, remember that one time when we were talking about where the needle can break into your arm? Yes. Sounds real painful, doesn't it? Right, because not only can the needle break into your arm, but it can break into your arm where it's going to require surgery in order to get it out, right? Good. So let's get that one. What else do we have? Right, blood poisoning. We did have blood poisoning down. Bradley, you had one? Tissue damage, right? Good. So you guys did remember. I'm really proud of you. You guys did a really good job on that. Good. Well, today we're going to examine the dangers of injection drug use, okay? And by today, the end of the lesson today, you will be able to identify a variety of health risks associated with the injection of different substances, okay? So I'm going to present some information, a little bit of facts, so if you can get your pens out and get them ready to present these facts, that would be great. Here we go here. Ready? Okay. So it says in the 2000 National Youth Risk Behavior Survey, 2.3% of high school students knowingly admitted having injected an illegal substance during their lifetime. okay? 2.3% of high school students, right? I know you guys are 7th graders, but you're almost there in high school. So that's why we're teaching, you know, the risks of it now, so that maybe you don't become one of those 2.3%, okay? That couldn't seem very low, but if you think about it, it's really not, okay? The drugs most commonly used through injection are cocaine, heroin, and steroids, okay? Drugs can be injected into the body in numerous ways. Drugs can be injected beneath the skin, right? It also can be injected through the muscle, as well as intravenously through the vein, okay? And remember, we talked about how the vein, actually the quickest way, because it's directly through your bloodstream, so that's the quickest way that an individual could get high, is through that way. So it's a more dangerous way as well. All of them are dangerous, but that's the most dangerous. When injecting a drug, the drug user may draw back blood into the syringe to make sure that he or she is injecting the drug directly into a vein, okay? A user is also at risk for contracting a disease while having the influence of injecting drugs, right? We've talked about some of these diseases, right? What were they? Do you remember? Yep. HIV and hepatitis B and C. Correct. Both of those are contracted, can be contracted by injection drug use, okay? The user may make a risky decision to engage in sexual behaviors that could expose him to those diseases, right? Because sometimes when you are high on drugs, on injection drugs, sometimes you're not thinking, and so you might engage in risky sexual behaviors, right? And that's when those diseases actually can be contracted, okay? And remember, HIV actually mostly develops into the development of AIDS, leads to the development of AIDS, which is almost always fatal, okay? It is important to remember that there are times when an individual is going to need to inject medications, and it's usually for health reasons, okay? A person who is diabetic, right, or who is insulin dependent will need to give him or herself a shot several times a day to balance their insulin with their sugar intake, okay? But this is very different from experimenting with illegal drugs and drug dependence. One caution is to dispose of all needles in containers labeled biohazardous waste material, okay? So biohazardous waste material, or those red containers that you might see if you've ever gotten a flu shot or if you've ever gotten your blood taken at the doctor's office. They have those little red containers that are up against the wall or on the floor or something. And those prevent people from getting stuck by just throwing it in the garbage, okay? So it's important that all needles that are not disposed of this way should definitely be reported, okay? Because it's important that you never touch a needle that you find or you know has been used by someone else, okay? Just think about it. If you were to throw a needle in the garbage and the garbage man was to come pick up the garbage, he could get stuck by a needle. And then he doesn't know whether or not the user had something like maybe HIV or hepatitis B or C, and getting real worried, and they're going to have to get tested themselves. So it becomes a big risk factor, and it's preventable, right? Good. Are there any questions on that? No? Alrighty. Well, today I have little baggies, okay? And I have little baggies. This is actually, I know, yeah, they do look like they might be illegal, but they're not. This is flour. This is salt. This is sugar. And this is laundry detergent, okay? However, I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment. I'm going to add water to each of these bags, okay? And we're going to see what happens. There's one. Two. Three. And last but not least, there's four. Alrighty. So, what I want us to do is just to imagine that we are drug dealers preparing narcotics or steroids, okay? And I'm going to ask you a little variety of questions. Okay? Never thought I would do something like this in class, did you? To pretend that you're a drug dealer. Now, of course, now in real life, we don't want to do things like that. But this is just to teach you guys a lesson, okay? Good. Alrighty. So if you look at the bags, if you look, it kind of actually really mixed in well, right? These are substances that you could see from a drug dealer that might distribute these drugs to drug users, okay? Now, what do you think these powders are? Right, you don't know now, right? You look at them and you're like, oh, wow, you don't know, right? You don't know what they might be. Do you think that it's possible that these street drugs could be mixed with similar substances that are tainted with more harmful substances than we have here? Do you think that could happen? It sure can. Because often, if you didn't know, street drugs are laced with other substances. Okay? And laced means that it is actually tainted with other materials. And sometimes you don't even know what that other material is. Okay? You don't know what that other substance might be. So you might be thinking you're getting heroin, but then a drug dealer may lace it and put another substance in. Okay? Why would you think a dealer would mix other materials into a drug that he or she is making to sell? Why do you think that is? Bradley? Right? They could want to enhance the drug's use, right? Sometimes if you mix certain things with certain drugs, the higher that person could get, they could get like more of a higher effect, right? Or what else? Right. The less drug that the drug user uses, he or she uses, the more money he or she is able to make off of each sale, right? So if I use less heroin in here and lace it with something else, right, then I can sell more of that heroin, right? It may not be right, but that's how they're going to make more of a profit, right? What would happen if a poison like arsenic, say, were mixed into the drug? What would happen? Jennifer, what would happen? Right? The drug user could become very ill. Yep, Vanessa. Or even die, right? Because of the effects of the harmful substance, right? You never know what's being mixed into these bags. And the drug dealer is not going to tell you for sure, right? They're just trying to make their money. They're trying to make their profit. So, you don't really want to get into this kind of drug use and all, because you could get the wrong thing and then have things like overdosing, right? And blood poisoning, and different things could happen. Cardiac arrest if you're mixing the two. You never know. So you never know what you're going to get, okay? So these, no-nos. Alrighty? Okay. Alright. Now, I told you guys we're going to do something fun today. And we're actually going to be playing our Jeopardy game. Right? Does that sound good? Good. Good, good, good. Alrighty. Let's see. Let's set you guys up for a second. You guys should just hold on for one moment. Alrighty, I'm back. Just a little bit of a technology glitch where the battery is running low. So I'm just going to plug it in. Alrighty. Okay. Oh, so you guys have already made up your teams? How you guys want to do it? Oh, boy versus girl. That sounds great. So Vanessa, Angela, and Jennifer on one team, and Mark, Bradley, and Sam on the other. All right, that works for me. And you guys know that we've played Jeopardy in the past, so it's going to be one spokesperson for each. Who wants to be? Bradley and Angela? Okay, that's fine. Good. And so, and whoever buzzes in first, making a boop or whoop, 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 then that's who I'm going to call on, okay? So let's start here. Ladies, what would you like? Risks for 100? Okay. Let's see. Identify the two infections that can be transmitted through intravenous drug use. Ladies? Yes, HIV and then hepatitis, right? Either B or C. Good job. All right, ladies, go ahead. Mixed bag for 300. Okay. Why would a drug dealer mix other substances with an injection drug? Guys, yep, we just went over this. Yep, to increase his profit, right? Or enhance the effect of drugs. Good. Good, good. You guys are really paying attention. Good. Fellas, what would you like? Use for 500? Going for the big bucks, aren't you? What is the term used for mixing other substances with injected drugs? Well, girls, you guys came in first. Laced, right? We just talked about that. Laced. Good. That was a big 500. Alrighty. Go ahead. Risks for 200? Okay. How could poor decision making under the influence of drugs lead to contracting a disease? How could poor decision making under the influence of drugs lead to contracting a disease? Guys? Right, you can have exposure to HIV or hepatitis B or C if you have risky sexual behavior, right? Good. mixed bags for 200. Okay. Where should one dispose of used needles? Oh, ladies. Right, in a biohazardous waste container. Good job. Right. Those are the ones that you see at the doctor's office, right? Alrighty, you guys may go. 500. Under mixed bags. What should you do if you find a used syringe? Oh gosh, guys. Yes, report it and do not touch it. Good. Yeah, absolutely. Because you want to make sure that you're not exposed to any infectious diseases, correct? Good. Guys, use for 400. How does a drug user determine if he or she is injecting into a vein? Girls? Right, that's what I was saying, how they draw back the blood, right, into the syringe, and then they inject the drug into their veins in order to see. Good. So 400. Alrighty, ladies, go ahead. Mixed bag for 400. Almost done with that one. What percentage of North Carolina students reported having used intravenous drugs in the 2007 Youth Risk Behavior Survey? That's right, you can use your notes. Go ahead. Guys, 2.3%. Good job. Yep, 2.3%. Over 400 points. Alrighty. Guys. Oh, it's going to clean up mixed bag. Okay. Mixed bag 400. Why might someone need to inject drugs? Yes, ladies. Right, if they are insulin dependent. Right. Right. If they have diabetes. Right. It's the only time they should be able to inject drugs. Or need to inject drugs. Girls. Oh, going for the big bucks. Risks for 500. What is an embolism? When I described it up here, what was an embolism? And we talked about that throughout the week. Oh. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Again, yep, good job. Yeah, that was a tie that fine. So good. What is an embolism? Ladies? Right, it's a blood clot. It could be anything out of a heart attack or anything. Good. All right, guys. Got to catch back up. But it's pretty close back. Girls. Risks for 300. What is an allergic reaction? We talked about this earlier in the week. What is an allergic reaction? Right, guys. Yep. It's a physiological reaction to substances that can be fatal. Right. 300. Okay, the guys are winning by 200 points. Alrighty. What is this? Risks for 400? Okay. What is a needle break, ladies? Right, that's when a piece of the needle is left in the vein and must be removed by surgery. Good. Good job. And that was worth 400 points. Alrighty, ladies. Use for 300, okay. Why would someone risk using injected drugs? Why would someone risk using injected drugs? Guys? Right, we talked about that earlier in the week because they have a drug dependency, right? Good. You guys are really doing well. I'm really impressed. Thank you for paying attention. Guys. 200, okay. What are the drugs that are most commonly used through injection? Ooh, ladies. Right. Heroin, cocaine, and oh, guys, you know, heroin, cocaine, and steroids. That's right. I have to give that one to the guys. Good job. And last one's 100. Where can injected drugs be inserted? Oh, ladies, where can injected drugs be inserted? Right beneath the skin, in the muscle, and what else? In the vein, right? Yes. Remember, I was talking about how that's the most. Good. Let's count up these points. So, ladies have 1900. Oh my goodness. And the men have 1900 as well. How crazy is that? You guys have a tie. So you guys know just as much as one another knows. Good job. I'm proud of all of you. Today you guys are going to be able to have a free lunch and be able to eat lunch with me. Good. I'll enjoy that. Good job. I'm really proud of you guys. You guys are really doing really well today. Thank you for paying attention, and thank you for just being able to soak in the knowledge that I'm giving you guys. Good. Alrighty. Now our next activity that we're going to do today is we're going to draw these injection drug use hazard cards. Okay? You remember some of these are some of the hazards from earlier that we talked about, and it's basically the same kind of hazards up here that you guys have. And when you guys draw the hazard cards, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you read the hazard card that you draw, and then you're going to write a brief newspaper article describing what happened to you based on what the card says, right? The article is actually going to be able to educate young people on the dangers and the risks associated with using injected substances. In your articles, you're going to have a few questions that you're going to go through. So let's do one together so that you guys will know what to do when it's your turn, okay? Good. So right now I have overdose, okay? So based on the card, it's going to ask you what happened to you. Well, I had an overdose. All right. What are the risks associated with injection drugs? Right. One of them is overdose, right? And what is the most and least threatening? Yes, I would say that this is the most threatening, right? Out of all the ones that we probably went over, this one and HIV. Would you say? Yes, because they can both lead to fatality, right? If you overdose, you may never wake up. You will lose consciousness usually, and sometimes you may never wake up. Same thing with HIV. Remember, HIV can lead to full-blown AIDS, which is mostly fatal. Okay? So, and what would you think was the most least out of these? Okay. Bradley, you were saying abscess? Yep, that could be. I mean, depending on, especially out of all of these, but depending on how little the abscess could get, right? It could be a little abscess instead of like a huge one that might lead into like a bigger infection, right? Yeah, exactly. So, could you tell if a person was infected with, maybe one of the top ones like HIV, hepatitis B, or hepatitis C? Could you tell that? Okay, I got some of you saying yeah. A few of you saying no. What do you think? Yes or no? Can you tell if somebody was infected with HIV? Say if you guys were looking around and one of you, I said one of you might have had HIV or in a room. Could you tell? No, you absolutely can't. So that's why it's very vital to be preventing of doing injection drug use, right? Because you don't know who has what. And so it's very vital that you're safe when it comes around needles. Remember, it says do not touch a needle, right? Report it. Put them in biohazard container waste, right? And then don't share needles. But overall, it's best that you don't even use needles for injection drug use at all, right? Again, the only reason why we would need to use an injection or a needle injection is usually because of medication purposes, right? For insulin dependent or diabetic patients, okay? So that's something that we wouldn't want to do. So after you take a card and you answer some of the questions that are up here, one of the questions will say, what decision would you have to make and how would your health be affected? So what decision would you have to make if you got overdosed? Right. You probably wouldn't be making that decision if you got overdosed because you'd probably be unconscious. So somebody else would have to make that decision for you. And then therefore you're putting a burden on somebody else, right? And your health can be really affected because, again, overdosing could lead to fatality, right? Definitely lead you to the hospital, right? And you don't know how long you might be in there. And anything can happen. You can go have brain damage or anything like that, right? And then another question that you're going to do is, what would you or others do if you were in a similar situation in the future? Okay? And so you're going to describe those things. You're going to take one of these, like I said, one of these hazard cards, and write a brief newspaper article describing what happened to you and the risks associated with these health hazards, okay? So you guys go ahead and do that. Are there any questions about that? Oh, actually, it's about time for us to pack up. So what you're going to do is actually you're going to finish this for homework today. All right, tonight for homework. And bring it in tomorrow, okay? So today we discussed the health risks associated with injection drug use. And now you can identify the dangers of injecting the substances and inform others of the potential health consequences. Alrighty? Are there any questions, guys? I know we went over a lot today. We did a lot of activities today. But are there any questions? No? Well, you guys were a great class today, and I really appreciate it. And don't forget, at noon, we're having lunch. Okay? All right. You guys are dismissed. Thank you very much. Bye.